Well, good morning, adventurers. Bright and early. Well, not even bright yet. Real early here on a Wednesday morning at East Fork State Park. Got up about 6:30. It's about 10 to 7 now. The sun is just now starting to come up. I slept fairly well. Got chilly a couple of different times, but that was mainly because my sleeping bag kind of slipped down. My shoulders would get cool, whatever. But other than that, I slept fairly decent. The two sleeping bag system does work. I had to kind of rearrange how I wanted to do it. I'm using one kind of as a quilt and the other one as a sleeping bag. But it worked, and I stayed warm, and that was the main thing. It probably going forward, especially on cool temperatures like this, I'll be using my cocoon. It's definitely what I want to do. It's just easier to use, and I do sleep better in it, as long as it's not too hot. I did look at my watch just as I got up, which I called out of 10 about 20 to 7. It said 26.4, so that's about what the temperature was when I went to bed. But the temperature should go up from now on as the sun comes up. Like I said, we're looking at probably about 38 to 40 degrees for temperature-wise today, which that'll be comfortable hiking. And then we'll get over to our site and get tons of wood and get set up. That's one reason. Like I said, I woke up at 6:30 and I thought, well, I'll just get an early start. No big deal. But as the sun comes up, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting packed up, get some breakfast. I'm hoping to be on trail no later than, say, 8 o'clock. And that includes eating breakfast and everything. So I guess we'll see you as we get back on the trail. Got everything packed up. Sun just broke across that mountain over there, so yeah, it's gonna get bright. As I was packing up the site, I had my poofy jacket on. I started getting a little hot and actually had a little sweat, so I pulled it off. I'd rather be a little chilly than wet. Of course, once I get on trail, which probably T-minus 5 minutes, once I do that, I figure I'll start bumping out some mileage, and I'll get warm and I won't need it. Plus, with the sun coming up, it'll start warming up. I know the temperature's supposed to start going up by about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and it's just after 8 now, so I'm actually kind of right on time. Looking pretty good to get where I want to go for the day and everything. I do have to make a pit stop over to the car. Unfortunately, it's going to take about 30 minutes out of my way, but that's okay. Something come up. I left something in the car that I kind of need. My extra batteries for my GoPro. They were in a Ziploc bag, and I hope they fell out of where I had them. If not, I've lost them on trail, and that would really stink because I had 2 batteries that I paid $25 for. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm gonna go check the car for those, and then I'm gonna get on trail. Went back to the car, and yeah, my batteries were laying in the back seat where my pack was, so we're good there. Just so you know, I just passed the site again, and I'll let you know that from the parking lot at the trailhead, taking the Steve Newman perimeter trail this direction towards site 1, that site is actually 0.6 miles. I had 0.8 last night, but I believe I recorded a couple of back strips, and once I got to site, I think I walked a little bit before I looked at it. So 0.6 is actually where it's at. And now we're heading over to site 1, which should be maybe a quarter mile, a third of a mile, something like that. The temperature's still pretty cool, but like I kind of figured, once I got on trail and started moving, I've gotten warm. I've actually broke a slight sweat, but I'm not stressing it because I'm not taking off my thermal shirt right now because I would get cold. I do have that creek crossing coming up where I was filtering the water yesterday and this morning. I didn't record any of that, but I did filter out of this creek. And I do have 2.5 liters, well, 2 3/4 liters of water that I'm carrying with me right now. That should suffice for today. Worst case scenario, if I've got to, I can figure out a little water situation tomorrow. Here's this creek. I didn't take that path to actually filter. I did that because I had the heavy pack on. I didn't feel like taking a chance on slipping. I actually, if you notice, the site is right up there. That's where I camped. And there's a little trail that comes down right there. I'll show it to you as I get over here. Try to figure out the best way around this. The trail that I took to come down and filter runs right through here. And that I filtered right over there. But I don't think I need to go over quite that far to get across this. I think we're gonna, let's see, we go up this direction. We'll try to go right there. All right, yeah, that was stable. I thought it was. I saw somebody go across this yesterday, and yeah, it should be pretty easy now. Now, if it come in a nice rain here, guys, this would be completely underwater. It would make it interesting to go across, but it's not too bad today. I'm almost across it now. Oh, that rock was loose. All right, now we're across. Woo! That was fun. It's a pretty little area, nice little creek. And now we're heading up towards Site 1. Like I said, you could see it from my site last night, so that's not a big deal. Now, I did debate, there is a site right here that has a nice fire pit. That's another site right here. It's probably about 7/10 of a mile in. You know, of course, you could actually bring in a number of people and stay at both sites, you know, and just kind of take up the whole area. That would be kind of neat too. But we're heading on. Woods are ablaze with that bright sun right now. It's pretty awesome. I mean, even in winter, this is a pretty area. Just about finished this little leg here, heading into Site 1. It's roughly a mile from that trailhead. Coming through the shortcut, basically, is what I call it. This isn't technically part of the backpacking trail. We did that last year, and it's about 4.5 miles or so to Site 1. But yeah, here's Site 1. Oh, I really wish I was staying here tonight. Someone has left a little bit of wood in the shelter like I did when we left last year. That'd be neat. Definitely looks different than it did when we were here back in the summer. This is all open now. Guys, that's actually a purchased bundle of wood. It's in plastic, so somebody's carried that in. Wow, more power to you. I don't know what the cinder blocks are inside the fire pit, but it's interesting. Actually, I thought somebody's moved the fire pit because it was actually over here. And I don't even see the picnic table. Wow. Wow. I don't know what they've done with the picnic table. That's interesting. Maybe they come in and well, I can't imagine them driving a truck in here to put it up for the winter. Nothing else, you think a couple workers would just come in here and sit it inside the shelter. But I do not see that picnic table, guys. That may be a bummer, because if they take the picnic tables for the winter, I was counting on having a picnic table tonight to sit at, so I could be a little bit more comfortable. That's the whole reason I did not bring my chair in. There's that's our campsite from the group camp last year. It's kind of neat. But yeah, that picnic table's gone. Like I said, I'm not sure if they've come in and taken it, or someone stole it, or they burn it. Who knows? I mean, people are crazy. And like I said, somebody carried in a whole bundle of wood, and more than likely, if they've left it, they carried in multiple. So I'd rather find the wood around than carry in. I mean, even the shortest route is a mile. That's a lot of weight to be carrying. I mean, even if they were super light and they stayed in the shelter itself, no. Too much weight for me. Oh, yeah. I was kind of worried about this. Last year, when we come in, both times, this section of trail from here back to the division that goes back out to Site 2 on the backpacking trail was wet and muddy, and yeah, it's not looking too healthy now even. because everything is a lot wetter right now, because we're heading into those wetter months, especially starting in March. So this could be fun. So I'm back to the division here. If you remember back last summer, Alex and I got here and was under the impression that backpack site 2 was only be another 2 miles away. It is 4 miles from here, actually, if you can tell. And of course site 1 is out that direction. It's 0.5 miles. So I am right now 1.5 miles from the trailhead, and I've been hiking for over 2 miles now. Still got 4 to go, but we're getting ready to enter a section, ladies and gentlemen, that I have never hiked in East Fork State Park. Kind of wish Alex was here with me, but of course she's in school. Kind of stinks because I know she kind of wanted to check out this part too, but I'll definitely bring her back. We actually have a site that's hiker made that we're actually going to show you guys sometime in the spring. Maybe come in and do an overnighter or a couple nights, something like that. But it's back out that direction. We actually passed it last year. And what's interesting, if you've seen the video, Alex and I spoke that, you know, she kind of took us the wrong direction initially, and we kind of laughed it off. If she had not taken us that way, which it worked out, you know, just added like a 1/4 mile to our hike, no big deal. But that site is actually on that other section of trail that's not even marked on the maps. So we'd have never seen it if she hadn't have done that, and I'm quite happy she did, because now we know where it's at, and we're definitely going to hit that site sometime either in spring or summer this year. We've been talking about it. I even debated going over there this trip because it's such an awesome site. And the whole reason I didn't is because, whoa, had to balance on some logs there, guys. But the whole reason I decided not to do it was because I want to share that with Alex in the future, because I know she was really excited. But, you know, we'll get to that, and that's coming up on Living the Grand Adventure, guys. Anyway, so we're heading out to site 2 now. And like I said, I'm gonna keep my eye out for camper made sites, especially considering I'm figuring more than likely there's not going to be a picnic table at site 2. If there is, I'll be happy, but if not, that's going to stink, because that makeshift log and chair I made last night, nah, that was not very comfortable. That's part of the reason I went to bed a little bit earlier. I had nowhere to really get comfortable sitting, and of course I had burnt most of my wood, so, and I did fall asleep pretty quick in the tent by 10. I was even on the phone with Jenny and basically almost fell asleep on her, and she kind of was like, hey, you want to go ahead and head on to sleep so you can get an early start tomorrow? I said, yeah, that sounds good. Told him good night, and then I literally was out. I even left the phone on the dial screen, didn't back out to my home screen, so, and I always do that. So I didn't even make it that far. This is a pretty little area right through here. Of course, I'm sure in the summer it'd be overgrown some, but even then, nice big trees. Of course, all deciduous, but I've only seen one section of the area that actually is was pine, and that's where I got the pine needles to start the fire last night. And that was actually up against that building, just up from where I camped. But this area is nice. Imagine it in spring before it got overgrown, when the trees are starting to come out. It'd be really, really awesome. Of course, granted, we're still right up here on the road. Actually, it looks like the trail goes across the road. I didn't know it did that. Interesting. Okay, so I guess we'll head up across the road. Yep, it continues right over there. Awesome. Another place you could drop a water cache, guys. I actually thought about doing that, but I wanted to filter and do it right. I feel water caches are a little bit cheating sometimes, but if that's what you got to do, yeah, you could drop a water cache right here. I mean, if nothing else, it'll cut another 1/4 mile off your hike with water. Once we crossed that road and got through that one pretty area of forest, the roads, or excuse me, the trail has turned to mud. I mean, it's interesting. It's kind of like Wildcat combined with Zaleski, because there's been a lot of down trees too. It's not quite as hard going as Zaleski, but a lot of mud and a lot of down trees. Back that direction was a little rough. It's getting a little bit better. It's thinning out now. I don't mind the mud. The mud is just, you know, the climate, you know, the particular time of year, that's fine. It's all the down trees. Guys, I see the lake. It's the first view I've had at this trip. That's pretty cool. Probably won't be able to see it quite yet on the camera. It's right back through there. We might get down low enough where we can actually get a good view of it. And if the trail would happen to get down next to the lake, and I find a site there, or somewhere where I maybe can make a site. See, look at this. Here we go. Yeah. All right. But if I can find a site down next to the lake, that's probably where I'm going to camp. Ooh, lots of mud. That's probably where I'm going to camp for the night, versus going on out to site 2. Because I'd love to camp beside the lake. That would be really awesome. That's what Lexi and I kind of had wanted to do last time. Just the other side of the trail never got down close to the lake. I don't know if this one does or not. I looked at the top of the map. It doesn't look like it gets extremely close, just enough that you can get some views. I don't know how well you can see it, but yeah, pretty awesome. I always love the view of a lake when you're on trail. Oh, it looks like we're coming down into a little valley here, and as I descend, it's getting muddier and muddier. Whoa, about slid there. Probably should be using my trekking poles through here, but just figured I'd talk to you guys for a little bit. Now, granted, they've got plenty of stuff to maintain on the grounds here. I mean, you know, there's playgrounds, there's multiple bathhouses. They do have a campground for, you know, RVs and tents. So they've got to maintain all that. But it is what it is. And I'm still having fun, even though, you know, I'm just kind of commentating on the trail conditions right now. It's better than being at home sitting on my butt not doing anything. It's just really nice to be back out on trail here. Yeah, there's another good view. Looks like we're going up a little bit, maybe get a even better vantage point. Yeah, that wind coming from the north, it's a little chilly, guys. Comes in just occasionally. Oh yeah, here we go. Nice view. Step right over here. Still a lot of trees in the way, but you can see it. Wish there was a spot where you could get in there and you get a good view without the trees in the way. Fortunately, it's really overgrown. This is the biggest elevation gain I've had this trip. Whew. Still cool to see the lake like that though. Well guys, I've had the lake to my left for quite a while, probably about a mile or so now. And I was coming up through here, happened upon this little pond. It's kind of neat, right here on the side of the trail. So here would be another opportunity that you could actually filter water, because I would assume that this would not dry out completely. Of course, part of it would be finding a way down to the water. I believe there was a spot right back there that you might be able to do that. But, you know, here's an option. If you would like to try to do that, I don't need to. It's kind of interesting. There's actually ice crystals on the top of that, if you can tell. Look at the shine right through there. It's really cool. The reflection from the sun. But yeah, it's pretty cool, guys. So I've been hiking for a little bit. come up on this creek here. It's pretty nice looking. Nice flowing creek. Definitely could get good water out of that. Trail continues up this way. We're going to see. I know I'm going to have to cross it because right over there is the rest of the trail. Hopefully there's a bridge, because that's of course there's plenty of rocks. So as long as that kind of maintains going out this direction, I shouldn't have any problem getting across it, even if there isn't a bridge. But I've seen multiple bridges through here, so it would surprise me. Oh my goodness, guys. Wow. Wow. Do I continue to Site 2 or camp here? Really, really pretty area. Oh my, and right here is access to the water if I would have to filter. Oh man, guys, this is tempting. Clear open sky. There's already wood sitting here. Nice flat spot for the tent. I want to go to Site 2 because I want to see what Site 2 looks like for future reference. But I know this site's here now. Yeah. Okay. Good deal, guys. And, okay, let's take a look at the mileage. So from the trailhead to here, just a beautiful site. It's roughly 3 miles. It's 2.9 miles. So, and I've done it in an hour and a half. So definitely a nice site for maybe if you want to come in and do 2 nights. Could go to that one site that I was telling you about that me and Lexi looked at when we were here back in August, and then you could come to this one and make a pretty good loop of it all. I gotta cross this water here. It's not too bad. Just didn't want to slip down that embankment there. I'm gonna wash my shoes off a little bit. Wow, and then step into the mud again. But guys, that definitely is a nice site. I mean, that was so tempting. But I come in here, I wanted to do some extra miles. And you know, I mean, even counting the extra 0.6, I've only done like 3.6 miles, 3.5 miles. And I was hoping to hit 6 today, and then have 5 or 6 tomorrow. Wow, that's pretty. This is a nice little area, guys. In a way, I'll kind of regret not camping over there. I mean, being right here beside this creek, the sky was completely open. I mean, with the moon being out tonight, it would have been beautiful. But also, too, I would have had to change my docket on where I was camping to let Jenny know where I'm going to be. And with her not having been here at East Fork, and Lexi not even having been over here, I kind of worry that, you know, if something would happen, they wouldn't know where I was. Of course, I could always give latitude and longitude off of all trails, but it's just easier to say, hey, yeah, I'm at Site 2, this happened, I need help. I'm not really worried about anything happening, but you never know. Man, that opens right up down to the lake there too, guys. But yeah, that was very tempting, and I actually had just turned the camera on when I come up on that site. I do that a lot of times, guys. That's the first camper-made site I've seen. And it's funny, I was coming down that one side over there as I come to it, and I was thinking, God, this would be a great little area for a site, and then I happened upon it. Really opens up here, kind of up on a ridge here, and you can definitely see the lake. It's really pretty out that way. And I happened upon this. Another campsite. Guys, this is a really, really nice campsite. Oh my goodness. I know I'm gonna regret passing these sites up, because I'm gonna get to site 2 and I'm gonna look at it and be like, oh, why did I not do the others? But like I said, we're trying to get those miles in. I'm gonna let you know how far this one is. This is about 3¼ miles in. So, I mean, you've got 2 options within 2/10 of a mile of each other that are really, really nice sites, guys. This is, I mean, could you imagine waking up to that in the morning? I mean, that would be really awesome. But we're here to check out site 2 and kind of give you a rundown on that. Plus, I want to see more of the trail, because if I stayed here, I'm not going to complete the other areas. So I want to get the backpacking loop completely done, so you guys can get an idea on what the backpacking loop entails. But yeah, those 2 sites, man, I mean, you know, if you don't want to come into site 2, you just come in and hit one of those. You still got to register, tell them you're going to be on the backpacking loop, and just say you're going to be at site 2 or whatever, because they do allow dispersed camping on the trail. That would be phenomenal in the summer, spring. I mean, it'd be awesome now. So, I mean, just any time. Now, I have noticed this area, there's a lot more litter. I mean, here's a tire, and I don't understand that. Another tire there. So it's an old tire, guys. If anybody knows maybe what that goes to or how old that is, kind of give me a comment in the down there, so we can kind of get a history lesson, maybe determine where that could come from. But I've seen like a few plastic buckets and a whole number of things up in this area, so it's kind of interesting. But I mean, this is a pretty area. Really, really nice area, especially right here at that lake. I mean, honestly, if you're a fisher, I mean, you could probably get down. I mean, honestly, this time of year, you could get right down in there and set up a site right on the lake and fish. But heading on to site 2, guys. Really impressed with some of the sites over here and some of the scenes. After I got through that one area that was all the down trees and mud, which only was maybe 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile of the trail, I was just kind of having, you know, recollections of Zaleski. The trail's been nice and beautiful area, especially once we got over here towards the lake. And then, like I said, a couple of those campsites just blew my mind. So yeah, having a good day, guys. It's starting to warm up. Sun's coming up in the sky. It's about 11 o'clock. I'm on the last leg. I got about 1.25 miles left, if that. And the woods have been pretty desolate up until now. And all of a sudden I come across this right here. I was like, I wasn't even sure what it was initially from a distance. But it's all green, it's evergreen, of course. And just right here in the middle of the woods, that's really interesting. It just popped up like that right there. But that's the most interesting thing I've seen since I recorded last. It's been basic woods walking and just normal trail. I think I found a couple of different ways I can go back out of here that won't repeat the same trail, which is something I really like doing. So I'm gonna take a look at those tonight and determine which way I'm gonna go. See which one I think might give us the best video and the best experience on the way back out of here, guys. Kind of make more of a loop of it than actually doing a in and out. So that'll be kind of cool. Get home for my birthday, see everybody. That'll be awesome. Oh. But yeah, I'm really ready to get over here and sit down, get some lunch. I'm starting to get a little hungry. I started to stop back there a little ways, and I realized I had like just over 1 mile, and I was like, I could be there in 30 minutes. So I'd rather be there, get the pack off, and actually start relaxing. So like I said, I'm still kind of on the last leg here. I've come across this creek crossing. It's really, really nice. Been following that creek for a little ways. The trail's right over there. It was kind of dicey. It was real slick in spots, and I actually saw a couple spots where people who have come through there before have fallen. But now I've got to cross this. I just want to get some video of it, show you guys what I'm seeing. Really, really pretty.
Definitely could filter here as you come into Site 2. I would assume that this creek would not ever dry out. All right, so we're gonna try to get across this without falling in, guys. I'll see you on the other side. Well, guys, I came up a pretty good incline over here, and it actually opened up into a pine forest, which is really nice. And I happened up on another campsite. From trailhead to here, it's 4.7, 4.8 miles. This one's kind of nice, kind of small. And I believe it's right on trail because I'm pretty sure trail goes right over there. So coming from there straight across, it's literally sitting on the trail, which I really wouldn't want to stay at a site like that. Not that I expect anybody to come through today, but you never know. But if you're interested, it's nice. Could probably get some hammocks up in here, a couple, and definitely maybe a small tent, kind of like what I have. This is, I think, would actually be more conducive to hammocks, actually. But I believe the trail goes right on out through here. Yeah, that was a pretty substantial incline there, guys. Straight up, probably about 100 feet. Took me a minute. Little out of breath, little sore. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have made it to Site 2. It's a nice site. I mean, I kind of regret not taking a couple of those other sites that we saw, but you know, we wanted to check out East Fork's 2 sites on their backpacking loop, and I have made it here. It's not bad. I'm gonna show you around here in just a moment. It was a beast getting here because there was back-to-back valleys, like 3 of them, back to back, where you had to descend and then ascend, and there were no switchbacks. They were straight up. There were a couple of them that reminded me of some of the steep inclines we saw at Red River Gorge. So just be aware, if you come in the way I came in, that the last mile really is very, very rough. But I'm here, and it is kind of cool. I do have a slight view of the lake from here. So, and there is actually a creek just down the hill, so I don't really have to conserve water tonight. As long as I've got kind of enough to make my oatmeal in the morning, I can go down and filter before I head out. And just going over to the car, I probably won't carry more than a liter or so anyway. So that definitely makes it a lot easier, because I was worried about having to kind of conserve tonight so I'd have enough to hike out tomorrow, because I do have about a 5.5 mile hike out. It is roughly 5.6 miles from the trailhead to here. So let me go and show you around the site. This is Site 2. You come up the trail, and there's this a little offshoot trail here that you've got to come up. That's the trail heading on out the direction I'm gonna go tomorrow. That does make a loop. And you come up, this is a privy. I haven't really taken a look at it. Let's go over there and see what type of shape it's in, if it's in better shape than the one at Campsite 1, because that one's definitely rough. Well, actually these do look a little bit better. Don't know if I trust that floor though, so I don't know if I'll be using these, but I mean, at least they do have lids. No curtain though, unfortunately. And of course, here's the main shelter, which is where I'm gonna be staying at in this area. And of course, I can sit in the shelter, or I do have a couple of stumps I can sit on nearer the fire, so that's gonna be nice. I will be using this actual fire ring here, the steel one. And lo and behold, there's actually a little bit of wood. I'm going to be using that. I'm going to gather up a little bit more. Someone's made their own little fire pit, but I'm not going to use that. I kind of like the idea of the fire ring. And this is kind of the area. Now over here, there is a bench, you can see, and a very, very old fire pit that's kind of been disassembled and just left to kind of decay away right here. Probably wouldn't camp right through here. There's a lot of acorns on the ground. Make it very uncomfortable. There's another fire pit here that someone's made, and they've scooted a log over here as a backrest to sit at, and it's definitely been used quite a bit. Of course, there's a lot of trash. You know, I don't know why people can't take their own stuff out. And this is another shelter. I would assume this is more like a winter shelter because it's more enclosed. I could actually use this if I get extremely cold tonight, but I don't look for temperatures to be too much worse than they were last night. And I was comfortable last night, so I'm in the process of kind of drying off now. I did get a little bit sweaty as I finished up those last few inclines, but I'm drying off, and it shouldn't hurt anything later tonight. I should be good and dry. In fact, I'm going to kick my toboggan off and make sure it gets dry before the night sets in. But this is site 2, and for what it is, it's nice. I do kind of like it. It's definitely more remote than site 1, but I'm going to go ahead and get some lunch going. Eat me a bite, get a little some stuff set up, and then I'm going to go gather some wood. I definitely want more wood than what's sitting here with how cold it's supposed to get. But this definitely affords me quite a bit of effort. I mean, and a lot of that's split, which is going to make life a lot easier. I may not have to split nowhere near as much.
It's about 2:45. I've got 90% of camp chores done. Really all that's left to me to do is cook dinner and fix a fire. I processed up a bunch of wood. I actually found a nice down tree over here that probably come down sometime this season, but it was pretty much off the ground. So I processed up half of it, and I mean, I've got plenty of wood for the night. Got some sticks like that. Got me some smaller sticks over there. I'm working on getting some shavings for tinder to get it going. But yeah, for the most part, I've got everything kind of situated where it needs to go for the moment. Some of the rest of the stuff can get put up here in a little bit. Other than that, I'm doing good. Like I said, it's about 2:45. The temperature has warmed up a little bit. It's showing 37 in Bethel, so it's still not above 40, but it's comfortable. I mean, especially out in the sun and when the wind's not blowing. The wind is coming out of the north, so if it would pick up any during the night, it's going to get a lot chillier. And of course, it's supposed to be clear skies, and when you have clear skies, it tends to get a lot colder in the winter. So I'm looking for a cold evening. I don't mind. I've got everything set up. Like I said, I had to kind of test and figure out how I wanted to use that double sleeping bag that I'm using, and I figured out how I'm doing it. I took the 40-degree sleeping bag and kind of just stuffed the bottom of it into the bottom of the lighter weight sleeping bag, the 50-degree sleeping bag, and kind of as a foot box have it zipped up probably about mid-calf. And then I've got it draped over, basically it's going to be draped over me basically as an overquilt. And I stayed warm wrapped up in the two of them. It just wasn't super comfortable. I think this way would be more comfortable, and I should still be warm. I'm also, when I go to lay down my torso, I'm going to take my puffy jacket and kind of lay across that to give me a little bit more barrier from the ground as well, to raise that RF value of my sleeping pad. And also to keep my poofy jacket warm throughout the night, so when I go to put it on in the morning, it won't be quite so cold. Because that was kind of brutal this morning. I went to put it on, I was like, oh, this is cold. Yeah, I knew it was going to be, but, waking up, being kind of comfortable and warm, and then you go to get up. I actually put the jacket on and laid back down inside the sleeping bags for about 10 minutes just to get the jacket warm. Then I got up and was good to go. But yeah, it's turned off pretty nice this evening, coming into the evening now. Looking at it on camera, you would literally think it's probably in the 50s, 40s, something like that. Now, it's in the mid-30s still, so. And like I said, in Bethel, it's 37, so I'm figuring it's probably 34, 35 here. But luckily, like I said, that wind has died down. When I first got here, the wind was blowing, and it was coming in some nice little gusts, and when that was occurring, I was a little chilly. Of course, I was still kind of damp from the hike in, too. That didn't help. But like I said, I really didn't have a choice. I wasn't sure what to do. I thought about taking off my thermal shirt, but I know I would have gotten cold without it. So I think, especially with the variable in temperatures that I've seen today and yesterday, and like tomorrow, it's supposed to be in the 50s as I hike out. I probably won't even have the thermal shirt on. But I think I'm going to probably just wear one or the other of my thermal shirts, and then I can change them out interchangeable depending on how warm I get, because the other one is a little bit lighter weight. This is like I said, rated to like 15 or 20. The other one's rated to 30. So this one works great at night, but the other one I think would have worked better hiking in today. It's a little bit more weight, but I think it would have been better than me getting wet like I did, from sweating. And where I did get a little damp, I was really chilly when I first got up here, like through lunch, and then I kind of dried off, and plus I got moving around doing the wood. That helped. But we'll see how it goes.
I'm definitely going to try to enjoy tonight. But I think once I'm not going to press it, because I kind of pressed it last night, because by 10 o'clock I was really cold. Of course, I could probably be warmer tonight because I'll be able to get closer to the fire. I'm going to pull this stump literally probably like right here, or maybe even right there. I think I'm going to put it right there because it'll block the wind a little bit better, but I'm going to be right up on that fire, and I'm going to try to stay warm as much as possible by the fire. Because I didn't really get to do that last night. One, that fire pit was so low to the ground I couldn't really get down to it. And two, you know, where I made the seat wasn't comfortable for one, and two, it was about 6 feet, 7 feet away from the fire, so it really wasn't getting any warmth. And I did at one point in time try to roll that up next to the fire, and it just wasn't comfortable. But that stump, I've already sat on it a couple times. I'm like, yeah, that's a little bit more comfortable. It's higher up off the ground, so that'll be nice. Let's look for a good night, guys. I'm really hoping so. I'm in the mood for a good night. We had a good night last night. Last night was pretty fun. Even though, I mean, I think last night wasn't quite as much fun as it could have been. I was really tired. I figure I'll get pretty tired tonight too, because, you know, like I said, I haven't been hiking much, and I did end up doing, I think it was 5.7 miles total to here, plus the 0.6 I did back to the car to come to here. So I hiked about 6.3 miles today. And I mean, you know, I've done almost double that, well over double that actually. I've had almost 14 miles one day. But not being out for 2 months, I can tell my body's a little bit more tender. It's a little bit sore. I'm about to switch into my camp socks. I think that'll make a big difference. My feet's a little tender. Normally when I switch over to camp socks, get a little change and feel on the feet. That helps. I'm gonna massage them a few minutes and then get my socks on. I can't leave my feet exposed too much because it's too chilly for that. So it's a little bit after 4 o'clock. I've just been kind of relaxing. Starting to get kind of cool. Temperature's already starting to drop a little bit, but I kind of expected that after yesterday. And I just kind of looking around the area a little bit. Not going to hike too far away from my stuff, but kind of get an idea of what the area looks like. This is a different trail than the backpacking trail. I think it's part of the perimeter trail. And I believe there are horses allowed on this trail as well, because I've seen quite a few hoof prints. So that's interesting. You see the lake somewhat through the trees here. It's kind of neat. I didn't think I would actually see the lake once I got over to this site, but yeah, there's a little vantage point here. It's a pretty area, really. Everything's really quiet tonight, this evening. Not as many birds out making sounds and such in this area. Of course, it could also be that it is already 10 degrees cooler now than it was this time yesterday. Of course, once the temperature starts going down, they kind of go in and roost, and whatever you want to call it, they get in their nest and just want to stay warm. So I think that's kind of what's going on today. I did have a gentleman actually come through from the direction I'm going right now, and he stopped and talked to me for a little bit. He's a bird watcher, part of a society, I guess, in this area. And he says he comes out to the lake quite often, and there are eagles around here. But he said that there's quite a few eagles that in the early 90s, mid 90s, there was only 2 that could be accounted for. And now they've been able to get the numbers up to roughly 17 to 18 of them. And that he just kind of comes in and takes stock. I kind of gathered he's retired and just enjoys being in the woods. He came through in a sweatshirt and a pair of jeans and had a water bottle. So, you know, he's definitely not planning on staying or anything. I kind of thought he might actually come back through, but there is a couple of different smaller loops right through here, so he may have went that direction and kind of hit that. But it was kind of nice to actually talk to somebody on trail after not seeing anybody pretty much since last night, because I haven't seen anybody today at all except him. And then Alex called me for a few minutes. I guess she's missing her daddy. But she talked to me a little bit. She's having exams at school now, and was kind of a neat little surprise to get a phone call from her. And we talked for a little bit. And like I said, it's after 4 o'clock, so all camp chores are done. I even have My dinner's set out and the water poured. It's ready to go. All I gotta do is light it up, which I'm not hungry right now. I've been snacking on a little bit of beef jerky. I'm going to try to make dinner a little bit later than I did last night, because I had dinner about 6:15, 6:30. And even with a couple little snacks, I actually was quite hungry when I first got up at 6:30 this morning. And I'm hoping not to be up at 6:30 tomorrow morning. This is my little setup. I got the tent right here. I do my tripod like this, you know, if I use my tripod, that's cool, it's out. But I also hang my little lantern there and just kind of turn it on low. It kind of gives a little bit of ambient light over across the whole site that I'm normally in. Just a little something I do while we're sitting around the fire. It's kind of cool. And then, like I said, I have basically just what's left out is basically cooking stuff. I have my ditty bag, which has, you know, toothbrush, toiletries, whatever in it. Got my GoPro still sitting out, my headlamp. That's about it. So, got my fire kit still out. Once I get the fire going, that'll go up too. I kind of like getting stuff stowed away early before it gets dark. That way I don't have to take a chance on losing something. Yeah, it's starting to get really cool, guys. Sun's really pretty though. I'm gonna have a nice sunset. Probably won't have like the colors because there's no clouds in the sky, but it's going to literally go right down between those two mountains there. And I won't have a full view of it. Because it's kind of interesting, literally west is lining directly where I'm setting. Kind of looking for the moon. It should actually be up by now, and I haven't seen it quite yet. It's probably back behind these trees a little bit, and where of course the sun's still up, it's kind of hard to see, but it should come up in like a full clear night. It'd be like last night. The whole area should be pretty much illuminated by the sun, or by the moon, excuse me. And that'll be pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to that, you know, another night like that. Now, initially this trip was going to be tonight and tomorrow night. Kind of actually wanted to be out for my birthday, because we're going to celebrate my birthday this weekend anyway. We normally do it on the weekend. That way everybody doesn't have school or work or anything. And I thought about just going ahead and camping tomorrow night here instead, doing Wednesday and Thursday. I even thought about doing a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which could have been kind of neat. Because if I would have done that, I'd have probably come over here tonight, and then tomorrow night, I would have probably hit one of those sites that we passed earlier today. But I got to checking the weather, and they're calling for about 1.5 inches rain and possible ice. And I was like, well, I wouldn't mind being out in snow. I really don't want to be out in the rain and 30-degree weather, and I really don't want to be out in ice. That just wouldn't be fun. So I just kind of said, well, we'll just do 2 nights. And I did what I wanted to do this trip. You know, I was able to stay, because I kind of handpicked the site I stayed at last night, and I wanted to make it over here because I wanted to check out this one, because I've had a couple of people in this area tell me that this is a nice site. And it is a nice site, but I'm telling you, it doesn't beat those couple of sites that we passed coming in, you know, those hiker-made sites. But that's okay. You know, I've seen this, and those are other opportunities later on. You know, there's plenty of other trails that you can come into it from. And, you know, I could bring Lexi out, and we'll do 2 nights hiker-made sites here in 2 different places, and probably put in a good 25 miles. So it'd be kind of neat. Nice size loop over 2 nights. Worst case scenario, do it in 3 nights, depending on, you know, when we decide to do it. But definitely a nice area. So yeah, I mean, you know, this is definitely a big area. I mean, and not counting the Steve Newman perimeter trail and the backpack trail they have here. There's other trails that do run through here. You have the Buckeye Trail, which is the trail that does the circumference around Ohio. I believe it's 1,200 miles or thereabouts. It might be a little bit more. I'll put that up here right here. But I know the other one that runs through here is called the American Discovery Trail. And it's a very large through hike. I think it's like 6,800 miles that goes from coast to coast and does a couple of different loops and things like that. There's part of that runs through here. So that's pretty interesting, you know. You know, I mean, because that's, you know, what, 4 times, 5 times as big as the AT. So, but yeah, that does run through here. I was actually on a portion of that trail over here. I was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of cool. You know, I mean, not like I hiked it all myself, but it just, you know, seeing something like that and actually realizing, hey, this is a big trail here, guys. And I was actually on the Buckeye too. There's a portion of it that I was on. So this is one of the neat little parks that those run through. Been snacking on beef jerky, and my lunch was actually a broccoli and cheese mixture. It was a soup. It's kind of low in carbs. I think it had, for the serving, was like 15 grams, maybe 16 grams, something like that. And, you know, I took the package and kind of divided it into 4. So, you know, basically had a half serving. So it was 16 grams for the half serving is what it was. And that was pretty good. And I didn't even realize I'd packed that. I thought I'd done potatoes again, you know. And I guess I just grabbed the wrong pack as I pulled them out and put them in my bag. And that actually was a pleasant surprise with how cool it is today. Having a little bit of soup on the trail, that was nice. You know, kind of warmed me up a little bit for a few minutes. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, dinner, I do have taco meat with Spanish rice, like a quarter helping of Spanish rice, and then I have some shredded cheese, and of course I'm gonna use my Taco Bell fire packets that I, you know, kind of just lift off the place, and if we have extra, that's what I kind of throw in if I'm gonna do tacos or, you know, whatever. But I do have this little mixture, and it's pretty good. It takes a little bit longer to make. It takes about 10 to 12 ounces of water, and it has to sit in the cook pouch for about 15 minutes to get that rice really good and soft. But you know, it definitely fill me up, and it's not too bad on carbs. I think it was like 6.5, 7 grams, because like I said, I literally use a quarter serving. It's just enough to kind of add a little something to the meat. So for the day, I'll still be probably right around 25 grams, which isn't bad for carbs. I like keeping it below 15, but when I'm on trail, if I push 25, even 30 or 40, I'm not stressing that because I'm burning them off pretty good. But I do like to keep it, you know, at least below 25. And I do that for the most part when I'm on trail. That's one of the reasons I really measure out each serving of food that I do, so I know how many carbs are in each. It's about 10 to 5. Got about 30 minutes till the sun goes down. I have located the moon in the sky. It's back behind these trees a little bit, but I've seen it, so going to be kind of cool to have that ambient light throughout the forest again tonight. Really quiet. Heard a couple of birds, and I saw some actually flying out over the lake. I know there was a crane I saw earlier in the day, so that could have been what they were. It was hard to see from this distance, but they were white, and the reason I noticed them is because they basically were reflecting the sun as it goes down over the lake there, so it's kind of cool. But other than that, it's just, you know, a typical winter night here in the woods. Feels really cool. I've got my watch already off. We're checking the temperature. It's been off about 10 minutes, and it's at 39. It takes about 15 to actually really get the ambient temperature, so it's less than 39 degrees right now. So we're already seeing the temperatures drop like they did last night. I'm figuring we may even see 20 or upper teens today. I am a little bit higher elevation, so that's another reason I'm thinking that I'm probably going to be a little bit cooler tonight than I was last night. Oh, I hear a bird. Yeah, a little bit of ambient sound in the woods. But yeah, just been kind of relaxing and enjoying the quiet. Definitely looking forward to getting home. I mean, I'm going to enjoy tonight, but yeah, I'm kind of ready to get warm. Two nights I think is about my limit in the cold like this. I could probably do 3 or 4, especially if I had somebody with me. It wouldn't be quite as bad either. But I also kind of question, well, you know, in a way, I mean, it's kind of, okay, it's an endurance thing going out in the cold just to see if I could do it. But it's not as much fun because, one, I don't get to hike as much because, I mean, it's 4 o'clock and, you know, well, almost 5 now. And the sun is literally dipping behind the mountains there. If you can see. So, I mean, it's going to be dark in the next 30 minutes. There have been a number of times at 4 o'clock, I'm in the middle of my hike for that day. You know, Red River Gorge, you know, we weren't finishing up till 8:30.
I mean, even when I did Tring Creek, the first time I ever did over 12 miles, at 4 o'clock, I was just finishing the hike, and I've been in here since 1:30. Even at Zaleski, when I did the most miles I've ever done, and the sun went down at like 6 o'clock or 6:30, 4 o'clock, I was still hiking. So, yeah, a number of planes. I believe they're all coming out of Cincinnati, which is just out to the east of, or out to the west of us, excuse me. But, yeah, the hiking in the winter isn't quite as much fun. To me, it's going to be more about going in and setting up camp and staying a couple of nights. Just a learning experience this trip, which is cool. And each person's different. I mean, you know, some people could come out with the exact same equipment I have and be completely warm the entire trip. I'm like, I just little nuances, little tweaks on what I'm using, and I'll be good. But I've got to do those little tweaks, those little nuances to be comfortable in this type of weather over a course of 2 or 3, 4, 5 days, whatever. It's 5:20. Probably going to be starting the fire here in the next 20, 25 minutes. It's gotten pretty cool. It's 28 degrees, and the temperature just seems to be going down a little bit faster than last night. Kind of figured that with, you know, the temperature supposed to be lower. Got my poofy jacket on already, but that's fine. Once I get this fire going, get down next to it, I think I'll be comfortable for the night. And I should be comfortable in those sleeping bags, I hope. If I get chilly, I get chilly. I'll just deal with it. Nothing else. I can wrap up and sleep in my poofy jacket as well. I should definitely be comfortable then. And then we'll know, lesson learned. Definitely bring out the cocoon in cold weather like this. Like I said, I just didn't want to get too hot. But, been kind of a relaxing evening. Yeah, you know, just checking out the area. Getting the feel of the lay of the land. Because, you know, the more you know about the area, when you get ready to lay down at night, the better you feel. You know, it's always good to just check everything out and get used to the sounds that you're hearing, because every area is different. Like some of those places there at Red River Gorge, you know, we were camped up next to a running creek, and you didn't hear anything but the creek. Here, it's really quiet. Of course, I mean, during the summer, I'm sure it wouldn't be quite as quiet. Of course, one thing that kind of disturbs the idea of trying to get to know a place is like rain. When I was at Brookville, it had started raining, and, you know, couldn't hear anything, and then somebody's dog started barking at 2 o'clock in the morning, and that woke me up. That kind of sucked, because I was actually awake for like 2.5, 3 hours. That's one reason I didn't get up till like 10, because, well, I think it was about 9, but somebody's dog just started going off, even in the middle of the rain, and of course then the rain would come in, and that would wake me up. So that was a miserable, well, I can't say I actually really enjoyed that trip, but not the greatest night's sleep. I can't see the sun now. It's down past those hills there. And of course it actually is supposed to set at 5:27. Let me go check the time. I think when I actually started this video, this segment, I was actually at 5:20. So, you know, we're probably within 5 minutes of the sun setting. Yeah, it's 5:23, so we've got 4 minutes. Oh, and I've had this off for about an hour, so it'll give us a good reading. 28.5. Yeah, that's about, well, actually, it's about the same degree as yesterday, so I think the difference is it got cool when the sun first went down, and then the temperature kind of went up. I got to thinking about it. I did have my watch sitting on that log that I had rolled over to sit on, and it fell off a couple of times, and it may have been getting some residual ground temperature, so it may not have been quite as cold last night. So we'll say, you know, like I said, I saw I think it was 28.7 degrees this morning. We'll call that the low, because I'm not sure if it got as low as I thought. But this is actually sitting up. It's, yeah, as you saw, well, you may not have seen, I'll show you. I've got it sitting actually right here in the shelter, right there, and it shouldn't be getting anything but the ambient air temperature, so it should give us a good true reading there. And like I said, 28.5 at 5:23. So yeah, I'm probably gonna give it another 15 minutes, and I'm gonna get that fire going. Try to stay warm, and then we'll do dinner probably about 7, I'm thinking. because I ate quite a bit of my beef jerky, had a couple pieces of cheese, had lunch, which lunch was actually more filling than I thought it would be, but it was good. So just not as hungry as I was yesterday. And that, like I said, could also come from not backpacking as much as I had been, getting back used to it. Of course, it's pretty quick, I mean, that's like even today, I was going up and down some of the inclines and this and that, and I was like, wow, I didn't think I'd be able to tackle them quite as hard and fast as I was doing. So, because I did do the 5.6, 5.7 miles into here. Yeah, I think it was in like 3.5 hours. We'll make sure I'll pop it up right there, guys. I believe it's 3.5 hours. Basically, it took 34 minutes to do a mile on average. So, but of course, also, I did stop a few times to do some videoing, and definitely took some pictures of the lake. Those are on Instagram. You need to check out my Instagram, guys. I post pictures all the time when I'm on trail. You can get pretty much live updates of where I'm at. If I'm on trail, they're going to be on Instagram, guys. Check it out. But anyway, I still thought that was a pretty decent pace for not being out for two months, basically a little over 2 months. I am a little tired now, though. I can feel it. My legs are a little sore. I took a naproxen when I got here. Well, actually, about an hour ago. And it's kind of kicking in now. But I'm kind of stiff. And I really do think a lot of that has to do with the cold. Because in the summer, I wouldn't get stiff. Even when I first started the hiking. Like when we did the 8 miles at Germantown last year, that was the furthest trip I'd ever done at that point in time. And we knocked it out in I think it was about 3.5 hours or maybe a little bit less. I was sore, but I never got stiff. And I'm stiff right now, guys. So I think the cold definitely adds to what you feel as far as muscles being tight, muscles being tense, the stiffness a little bit in the joints, things like that. So I'm just noticing little things like that this trip, and it'd be kind of cool going forward to see if I can kind of get over those and maybe work those out. Because like I said, I mean, two months isn't, where I haven't hiked for 2 months. This isn't a good indication of how I would feel on a normal basis. But I guess I'm gonna watch this sunset. Got a little bit of clouds over there. We may get some pink in it. Unfortunately, once again, not a great view for pictures because of all the trees, but we're definitely going to watch it a little bit and take that in. There it is. Oh. There's a little bird in here sharing the shelter with me. It has a nest there and a nest over in the corner. So I'm going to try not to disturb it too much tonight because I don't want it to take off and get cold. I think it come back over here. That's kind of neat, guys. I just happened to see it flitter in, and it jumped in that nest, so it was kind of cool. Yeah, it's still in there. I hear it. So I'm going to kind of try to stay out of the shelter as much as possible and just stay over near the fire and not bother that bird. Because, it's got its nest in there, and I don't want to disturb it. And with how cold it's supposed to get tonight, I don't want it to feel invaded and not want to be in its nest, and then it'll get cold overnight. So that wouldn't be fair. Try to leave no trace, guys. That type of idea, including wildlife. You try not to bother them. About 8:15. The watch shows 22 degrees, so yeah, definitely chilly. I've actually been able to stay pretty warm beside the fire. I have it going fairly well. Nice and warm. I just built it back up. I also have inside my mittens a set of hot hands in each one. If you can hear it, it's in there. It's the little pack that you can buy down at Walmart. Basically, it's $1. It's just a pouch that has some chemicals in it that react, that put off heat. They've kept my hands nice and warm. And for the most part, I've actually stayed pretty warm beside the fire. It's good and toasty. Really good wood I was able to find today. The wood last night would not have worked for this fire, so it's nice to actually have some decent wood. And like I said, it's about 8:15. Got dinner done. Ate about 7:30. I hadn't got the fire really good and hot at that point in time. That's what I've been working on. I'm just trying to stay warm. That's why I haven't videoed much. And it's real quiet around here too, so it's kind of alarming when you hear some sounds. So it's kind of interesting. I did hear what I believe was a fox out this direction, but it was probably down way past the lake, down over there somewhere. I may have heard coyotes out this direction, and I was sitting here talking to the wife, and I got spooked really bad because I had the earbud in and couldn't really catch it initially, but right over here there was an owl right after dusk, so about that direction right there. So yep, out in that way. But that was kind of funny. I immediately recognized what it was, but you know, having impaired hearing because I had the earbud in, it kind of startled me initially. I'm really tired. Like I said, being up since 6:30 and hiking about 6.3, 6.4 miles, and just not used to it. Plus, I think on top of that, it's not so much the hiking, the cold for one, but not even that. It's processing up all the wood. The wood does wear me out after hiking long distances. That's what I'm saying. I think in the winter, or if I'm wanting to build a fire or whatever, a lot of times I think I will just do short distance and then actually do the fire afterwards, versus trying to pound out 6, 7, 8, 12, 15, whatever miles. You don't feel like really messing with wood after doing a long distance hike. So that's something that may not happen in the future. It's about 10:45 right now. Letting the fire die down. I'm going to put it out here in just a moment. Then I'm going to go in here and get in the tent and lay down and get to sleep. Figured I'd tell you guys good night. If you guys like this video, definitely subscribe, share, like, and comment in the section below. I'll give you a reply as I get to it. And guys, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the morning on the trail. Always remember to live your grand adventure to the fullest. Good night, guys.